Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Let's get started and look into the first article. The first article says Omicron, new variant of concern. We have the World Health Organization, which has classified a new variant of SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is currently circulating in South Africa as a variant of concern, and it is named as Omicron. What is this variant? When we speak about virus, a virus undergoes a mutation. What is a mutation? Change in the gene structure. So changes in the gene structure of a virus so that it is able to live is what is called as a variant. So the same virus which undergoes a mutation brings in changes in the structure is what is called as variant. According to World Health Organization, B 1.1.529 has multiple spike mutations. It has more than 30 mutations. This is more than any other variant. In fact, it is twice as many as Delta variant as well, which is why it is called as highly infectious variant when it comes to SARS-CoV-2 virus. What do we mean by highly infectious? It means it has increase in the transmissibility. The effectiveness of the vaccine is not working. Other diagnostic tools are not working. One is not able to identify it as efficiently as the previous variants, and this means it is able to spread in South Africa, and it is not only present in South Africa, it is also present in Israel and Belgium. There are few cases which are also witnessed in Israel and Belgium, which is why the World Health Organization has given a word of caution to multiple countries so that they can take precautionary measures. What has been the global response to it? Multiple countries have stopped travelers from these countries like South Africa, Israel, and in fact Belgium. And in India, India has also ordered rigorous screening and testing for the travelers, those who are arriving from South Africa, Botswana, Israel, and Belgium. What are the precautions that we may have to take? There are two viewpoints to this. One is what is happening at the individual level. The other is what is happening at the country level. When it comes to the individual level, what we have to do is to take up non-vaccine approaches. What are these non-vaccine approaches? Before we had the vaccines in picture, what were we doing? We were wearing the masks. Double masks is what is the need of the hour. What we also have to ensure is masking, social distancing, good ventilation in all the open places, washing, sanitizing our hands, and these are the non-vaccine interventions. Added to the non-vaccine interventions, we also have to expedite the vaccination as well. Why? That is because yes, the vaccination may not be that effective when it comes to this particular variant, but it still prevents this particular virus, and it also prevents that particular person from being hospitalized. The impact may still be there. So what we have to do is to ensure that people are vaccinated, and non-vaccination ideas like masking, distancing will also have to take place. This is on the individual level. Then when we speak about the country level, countries will also have to enhance surveillance and sequencing efforts to better understand the circulation of this variant. So what are we doing? We are doing the screening. They have to ensure that there is surveillance with respect to this variant, and if they get information, the same will have to be reported to the World Health Organization as well as to other countries. Countries should also submit complete genome sequences and also provide the metadata on the public forums, so that if this information is shared, published, then countries would be able to take precautionary measures. So remember, one, we have to take efforts at the individual level, and we also have to take measures at the country level so that we can break this chain and ultimately prevent the menace of this COVID-19 variant. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about a close reading of NFHS5, the health of India. Before we understand what are the statistics, improvements and concerns with respect to National Family Health Survey 5, we have to understand what is this survey all about. As the very name denotes, it is National Family Health Survey. This is happening at the national level, where some of the important ideas, objectives and issues with respect to the health, the information is collected, given to the Ministry of Health so that they can bring changes to the vulnerabilities that are existing existing in the system. So what is happening? This will be a survey that is conducted throughout the country. They will collect information on many parameters and ultimately deliver it to the government so that the government can see where improvements have to be brought about. So what are the objectives or what are the parameters that the country or the survey will be collecting it? One, it speaks about the fertility, maternal and child health, reproductive health, nutrition, anemia, infant and child mortality, and family planning. So surveys would be connected, samples would be taken from people on all these parameters, statistics would be collected, a reference would be taken from the previous surveys, and ultimately this will be delivered to the government so that they can take all the measures. Totally, as of now, we have about 5 surveys that have been conducted. The first round of NFHS was conducted in 92-93. Second round of NFHS was conducted in 98-99. Third round of NFHS conducted in 2005 and 6. Fourth round of NFHS conducted in 2015 and 16. And fifth round of NFHS conducted in 2018 and 19. Ideally, this information should have been revealed, but because of COVID-19, because we were not able to employ people to collect these samples because of COVID-19, we have now the phase 2 data which are made available. How does the implementation process work? Which are the coordinating agencies? When we speak about implementation, we have the International Institute for Population Sciences, which is located in Mumbai, which helps in the implementation and coordination. We also have a group of survey organizations and population research centers which help in collecting the samples, accessing the information, and ultimately delivering the same to the government of India. When it comes to the NFHS 5, we have some improvements that we have seen. We also have some concerns when it comes to this particular survey, and what needs to be taken up way forward is what is this article all about. When we speak about the improvements, what are the improvements? When it comes to India, we know for the fact that the health infrastructure is not good. When it comes to the budgeting, when it comes to the allocation of money to the health infrastructure, we have been repeatedly seeing that India is not spending as much as it should in comparison to the developed countries. But in spite of this limited spending, in spite of the limited budget allocation, in spite of the limited health infrastructure, we have improvements in several dimensions. What are these improvements? One is in terms of educational attainment, where awareness is brought about in terms of the health infrastructure. Institutional deliveries, where women are delivering their kids where in the hospitals. We have institutional deliveries, we have non-institutional deliveries. When it comes to the institutional deliveries, women are admitted in the hospital and there are nurses, there are doctors who take care of the women, and ultimately the baby is delivered in the hospital. That is what is called as institutional deliveries. Then we have non-institutional deliveries. What are these non-institutional deliveries? These are the deliveries which take care in the homes where you do not have the doctors, you have few people delivering the child. So when it comes to NFHS 5, what we have is improvement in the institutional deliveries. Vaccinations have also increased over a period of time. Infant mortality have also dropped as well, and there are much more improvements when it comes to NFHS 5. So if we have to speak about the total fertility rate, this total fertility rate has stabilized, which means there is effective population control in the country. Then we speak about infant and child mortalities. As we speak about infant and child mortalities, it has seen an improvement from the previous round. What is the previous round? We have the NFHS 4. So if you consider the NFHS 4, what we have is this, where the mortality rate was comparatively higher, but now when it comes to NFHS 5, what we have seen is an improvement in comparison to the NFHS 4. Then when it comes to infant mortality rate, again we are seeing an improvement. When it comes to neonatal mortality rate, again we are seeing an improvement. So the one which is in yellow is NFHS 4, The one which is in blue is NFHS5. So what we actually witness is drop when it comes to infant and the child mortalities. So this is an improvement when it comes to the National Family Health Survey in reference to the previous one. Then we have to refer to the vaccination rates. When we speak about the vaccination rates for children aged 12 to 23 months, we have to compare the NFHS 5 with the NFHS 4. So this has also seen an improvement as well when it comes to the fraction of fully vaccinated children between the age group of 12 and 23 months. It has gone up from 62% to as much as 76%, along with partial vaccination as well. So as we see, there are people who are fully vaccinated, this has increased. Partial vaccination, this has increased. BCG has increased. 3 doses of polio vaccine has increased. 3 doses of penta or DPT vaccine has increased. First dose of measles vaccine has increased. 3 doses of penta or hep B vaccine, this is increased. So what we actually see is the rate of vaccination in comparison to NFHS 4 has increased when it comes to this family survey. But there are few concerns when it comes to this particular survey as well. What are these concerns? One is in reference to the child marriages. The other is in reference to the anemic indicators. What is in reference to child marriages? When we speak about child marriages, there has been a considerable increase in the child marriages where, let's say in the state of Manipur or in the state of Tripura or in the state of Assam, there has also been considerable increase of the child marriages even in Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura, so on and so forth. So what we see is that child marriages have increased. So the social sector, the social issue continues to haunt the society. The sex ratio at birth is another picture which is haunting India, and this is also not dropping as well. And now if we speak about the anemic conditions, that is where it has increased when it compared to the NFHS 4. So we draw a comparison between NFHS 5 with NFHS 4. What we see is that anemic children have increased, overweight children have increased, underweight children have comparatively decreased, severely wasted people have increased, wasted children are increased, stunted children have decreased. So what we see, a comparison of the surveys between NFHS 4 along with NFHS 5 to a larger extent, there has been drop when it comes to the infrastructural growth, which means the government may not have been effective in controlling the nutritional issues with the children. So what we have is the key health indicator has worsened when it comes to anemia in under 5 children. Added to this, we also have to remember that this article and the author goes about giving the recommendation. What is the recommendation the author gives? The author says that when it comes to India, we have different geographical locations. Different geographical locations means it also people also have their own food habits according to climatic conditions, according to geographical conditions, and people might also be non-vegetarians as well. So the government should not police people on the diet, should not impose uniformity when it comes to the food habits, says this article. Why? That is because large sections of the Indian population may not be vegetarians. They may take their proteins from the animal sources as well. In such a case, the government should not police on the diet, says this article. So with respect to all these issues, what we actually see, yes, there are some improvements, there are some concerns as well. So going forward, addressing these concerns is one of the add-ons that the government will have to take up, irrespective of the parties, whether it is at the national level or at the state level. Inequalities in the health is persisting, so the government will have to bring all the stakeholders into picture, ensure that health is inclusive in this particular process, and make sure that financial advantage, budgetary allocation is given to the health sector so that all these issues are ultimately addressed. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next article. This article says Indian agriculture needs a Verghese Kurien. Let us try and understand what is this article all about. Verghese Kurien was born on 26 November 1921. We are living in 2021, so 2021 marks 100th year of birth anniversary of Verghese Kurien. So this can be very important from the preliminary examination point of view, or UPSC may also ask a question with respect to milk revolution in India. So remember, he is called as the father of white revolution. Why? That is because he brought massive changes when it comes to the milk industry in India. Every year since 2014, Kurien's birth anniversary is thus observed as the National Milk Day. He was the brain behind Operation Flood. What is this Operation Flood? Up until 1970, though India was an agricultural economy, we did not have much advancement when it comes to the milk industry. It was Kurien who brought this massive revolution when it comes to the milk industry. As a result of this, what we have is the world's largest dairy development program. In fact, India, which was once a deficient nation when it comes to the milk industry, now is the world's largest milk producer, surpassing United States of America. Remember, this can be very important from the preliminary examination point of view, where India is the world's largest milk producer. As part of the assignment, you have to put on the comment section which are the top 5 milk producers in the world. This article currently speaks about the Amul model. What is this Amul model? Basically, we are speaking about Anand Milk Union Limited. Anand Milk Union Limited is one of the companies which has the reputation of providing quality milk products to the entire country. In fact, they have also been exporting milk products to other countries as well. What is this model all about? When Kurien wanted to establish this Amul model, he had three important perspectives. One, should it be merged with the public sector where government will be the major stakeholder, or should it be incorporated as a private corporate entity where it is more about profit making, or should it be a cooperative model? This was a dilemma which Verghese Kurien had. So what does he do? He thinks whether this has to be incorporated into a public sector, or it has to be a private entity, or it has to be a cooperative model. He looks at the advantages of the public sector undertaking. This will be regulated by the government. But in the 1970s, we had the license Raj, we had the bureaucracy in picture, we had the red tape in picture, there was a large scale corruption as well, and this could also lead to long undue delay as well. And the lackadaisical approach of the bureaucracy will ultimately harm. So he says that merging with the public sector or taking it as a public sector undertaking is not a feasible option. Then he thinks about the private corporate entity. If this has to be established as a private corporate entity, yes, there will be advantages in terms of the manage, there will be new technology introduced, there will be efficiency as well. But when it comes to a private sector, it is more about profits, but this will not be delivered to the lower rank people, which is ultimately the farmers. So what does he do? He ultimately realizes that the public sector undertaking will not work well. Private corporate entity which is solely focusing on profits will not well, because it is the higher echelons which will take up the profits, but the poor farmers will not reap the benefits of it. So what does he decide? He decides that what we require is a cooperative model. So the Amul model is nothing but a cooperative model where people come together, they pool in their resources, all the members are known to each other, they take care of their own resources, they take care of their finances, they also bring operations as they know, and ultimately this means that Amul will be a cooperative model where all people come together and enjoy this very process. So what does Amul do? It establishes what is called as a three-layered structure. What is this three-layered structure? You have the milk producer on one side, and this milk should be ultimately delivered to the consumer. So what they establish is a three-layer structure where you will have a village dairy cooperative, district milk cooperative union, and state cooperatives as well. So the producers will give the milk at the village level. From the village level, it goes to the district level, and from the district level, it goes to the state level, and all the profits will ultimately be delivered to the milk producers, as there is no middleman in this particular process. Had it been in private sector, you would have multiple middlemen, and these people would have siphoned off all the profits, and it is the poor farmer who would be the major sufferer, since the producer, the farmer, is directly coordinating with the village dairy. Then the village dairy directly cooperates with the district authorities, and the district authorities coordinate with the state level authorities. The profits will be taken up by the milk producers, and at the same time the consumers will also get this milk at an affordable price. This is what is called as the Amul model. But while all this was happening, there were advantages with this Amul model. What are the advantages? One, while all this was happening, the cooperative model cannot exist without the advantages or adaptation from the private entities. We all know for the fact when it comes to the private entities, they are known for their efficiency. They are also known for their marketing. So what did Kurien do? He ensures that the marketing practices that were present in the private sector was also imported into this cooperative model. Ideas and practices of the corporate world were implemented, branding was taken into picture, technology was incorporated, laboratory establishments went into a full-fledged mode, and ultimately, because they incorporated technology, they were able to ensure that buffalo milk was turned into skim milk powder and condensed milk. So they were making use of the technology as well. So because they made use of the marketing, because they could adapt the technology, they were way ahead when it comes to the competition. So cooperative model infused with some of the adaptations from the corporate world led Amul to what is called as a distinguished model, and they were able to generate profits, and they were able to develop on their own. They were able to control their resources, and ultimately resulted in white revolution, milk production to the masses, and ultimately mass production also happened with the help of the cooperative model. These are some of the advantages of the Amul model or the cooperative model. But we were not able to use this Amul model or the cooperative model to other options, to other agricultural sectors. That is where the farmers are still struggling. We have the digital revolution, but this has bypassed the agricultural sector. We have smart cities, but we do not have the smart villages, livable villages. We are speaking about farmer suicide continuing in multiple other sectors. So it is only the white revolution, the milk revolution that has happened, but then the green revolution, that is the farmers revolution, is yet to take place. Why is the farmer revolution or revolution in other sectors not happening? That is because we are not able to import or adapt the Amul model into this sector. What is it about the Amul model? Amul model required a vanguard. The vanguard was in form of Kurien. So he was able to ignite passions in the farmers. He was able to communicate to the people. He was able to mobilize the farmers that this particular process works, but that is not happening when it comes to other sectors in India. So the farmers will have to be mobilized, which is currently not happening in the other sectors. That happens to be the major concern when it comes to importing the Amul model into other sectors of agriculture. Whenever we speak about cooperative model, it is not just about sourcing of money, sourcing of information, or people coming together. It also has to attract the talent and professionals as well. So when it comes to other agricultural sectors, we have to import talent and professionals into every sector of agriculture. This is currently missing, says the author. Added to this, we have to pool the land, we have to bring scientific farming as well. We did discuss about technology. The same technology will also have to be incorporated in multiple sectors of agriculture. If we are able to ensure that all these applications are met, what we will have is reformation in all the sectors of agriculture, says this article. So going forward, there is this unfinished business. Why? Because white revolution has happened. What we require is more revolutions in agriculture sector. So we have to import the Amul model into different sectors of agriculture, is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next article. This article here is speaking about Manrega. We have discussed about this article in our previous CNAs as well. What is this article speaking about? It is speaking about fund allocation. This article currently goes on to say that states do not have enough fund to continue with this process or the scheme of Manrega. So it is the implementation process which is not happening, and as a result the central government will have to ensure more budget allocations happens on a faster basis. Currently what we are witnessing is COVID-19 pressure. During COVID-19 one, during COVID-19 second wave as well, most of the people from the urban areas started migrating towards the rural areas. So what we also saw was reverse migration in itself. So the reverse migration from the urban areas to the rural areas happened because there was a backup of the Manrega. It was Manrega which was able to provide the food, it was able to provide livelihood, it was able to provide job opportunities, so people were able to sustain. Now because there is lack of funds, because people are not being paid, there will be problems in the society. They would not have wages, they would not have jobs, and ultimately they would not be able to have the food to eat. So the government should ensure that more funding happens as soon as possible, says this article. So what is the way forward? The government as of now has come up with the Pradhana Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which is a scheme under the Atmanirbhar Bharat where it will supply free food grains to migrants as well as poor. How will they be identified? Those people who are below the poverty line, such people will be identified by the states and the union territories. Then there are priority households. They will be again identified by the states as well as the union territories, and such people would be provided free food grains. This has been extended by the government of India, and this should continue to be extended as long as the government is not able to provide enough funding for the Manrega, says this article. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the central government to ensure that it is expedited, is what is this article all about. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the mains practice questions. Despite National Family Health Survey showing remarkable improvements, NFHS 5 also indicates worsening of the nutritional status. Discuss a roadmap to reduce inequalities in the health outcomes. Second question, can Amul model be a catalyst for similar movements across other agricultural commodities in India? Examine. So please write all your answers on the comment section. Peer review, do give positive feedback to your friends' answers. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.